Alright, everybody, welcome back. Today I will be giving my playoff predictions for round 2 of the NBA playoffs, and I'm also going to be recapping my predictions for round 1, seeing just how well I did on those. I am recording this after 3 games have already finished in the second round. The first game of the Warriors-Rockets, first game of the Celtics-Bucks, and the first game of the Raptors-Sixers. But these don't, the conclusions of these games don't affect any of the predictions I made originally. And the only time I had to record this video would have been before we knew who Portland was playing in the second round. And so I didn't want to have to go through and make 2 predictions for that. I would have rather have already known the outcome of 3 games rather than having to try and predict who was going to be in the next round. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, so in the Eastern Conference, we have the Bucks and the Celtics. Now, the Celtics did win by, I believe, 22 points in Game 1. This was Milwaukee's worst home loss of the entire season. Giannis, he had 22 points, but he only shot 7 for 21. So, not a great game from him. And then no one else could really show up. And then for the Celtics, Al Horford put up 20 and 11. Jaylen Brown had 19. Kyrie Irving 26, 7 and 11. And then Hayward had 13 and Rozier had 11. The Bucks, I think they'll be able to turn around. I have them winning this series in 6 games because, even though Giannis didn't have a great game this game and no one else did for the Bucks, they're still the best team in the East. They have arguably the MVP, and the Celtics, they have had their issues in the regular season. They have been tearing it up here in the playoffs, though. They haven't lost in the playoffs yet. Both teams are missing very key parts of their team. The Celtics are missing Marcus Smart. There's a lot of question marks on when he'll return. I'm not expecting him to... I honestly don't know. He doesn't have any impact on my prediction. But then Malcolm Brogdon, I don't know what he was listed for Game 1, but many people have him coming back in Game 3 or Game 4. And so if he does and he comes back and he plays well, that could be huge for the Bucks because he was great for them all year. And they really need someone to help guard Kyrie because he was obviously really good. And so I have the Bucks in 6 just because they have the MVP and one bad game is not going to put them out of the race completely. So Bucks in 6. Alright, next up we have the 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. So the Raptors did take Game 1. Kawhi dropped 45, a playoff career high. So going into this was the hardest one for me to make my prediction, in the East at least, because I just really didn't know. The Sixers lost the season series 1-3 games, but a lot of those games they didn't have Tobias Harris, and I believe they didn't have Jimmy Butler for one of them, because obviously they hadn't acquired them yet. And so I just really didn't know how to make these predictions. I do have the Raptors winning in 7 games. Although I do feel like the Sixers have more just sheer talent on their team, more scorers and more just talent-wise. I think the Raptors are just deeper and they play as more of a unit. And I think their defense is better. And these teams are on even playing field. There's no really significant injury for either team. And, I'm not going to discredit the Sixers and have them, get swept or anything. I think it'll be a great series. And I wouldn't honestly be surprised if the Sixers won, because I feel like this could be a really tough series for whoever makes it out. But I, in the end, do think it's going to be the Raptors in 7 games. Moving on to the Western Conference, I'm going to start with the Warriors and the Rockets. And now in Game 1, it was a really kind of, confusing ending. What happened was the Warriors were up by 3 with I don't remember exactly how many seconds left. And the Rockets managed to steal the ball from Kevin Durant, and they brought it up court and gave it to James Harden, who then missed a three, but many thought he was fouled, but they didn't call it, and CP3 managed to grab the rebound, but then he went out of bounds. He got a technical, which was his second. He got ejected. There was just so much going on in Game 1, and this was exactly what happened last year, too. This is always seems to happen when these two teams meet up. There's always lots of drama. There's always lots of action. It's just a really great thing when these teams meet up. I do have the Warriors winning this series in 6 games. The Rockets had they were up on the Warriors last year. They were up 3-2, and then obviously we know about the Chris Paul injury. But I just don't really think that the Rockets, even though Chris Paul is healthy, the Warriors are just so good. And if Kevin Durant is playing the way he is, or the way he has been these past couple of games in the playoffs, like in, I believe, game, whatever that was, 5 or 6 of the Clippers series, he dropped 45, and then he followed up with a 50, and then today he had 35. He has been unstoppable. He's being a lot more, he's taking a lot more shots, and I don't know why he wasn't before. He's making, basically, he's making so many of them that towards the end of the game, if you watched it, the Warriors just gave the ball to Kevin Durant every single time. And it worked, basically, every single time because they were able to get the win. And then the Rockets, honestly, I was a little confused at the end of that game because James Harden, I didn't, in my opinion, it didn't look like he was giving everything he had. It kind of looked like he was walking up and down the court, and he just didn't feel the the pressure, I guess, which I guess is good if you don't want to you don't want to feel pressure, you don't want to force up bad shots or anything like that. But I don't think he had a sense of urgency, if that makes any sense. And so, with all that being said, I think the Rockets are outmatched. There's really no one that can guard Kevin Durant. There's no one that matches up really well. And so, yeah, I have the Warriors winning this series in 6 games. And finally, in the Western Conference, we have the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets. Now, if this one, out of all the semifinal series, this one was the hardest one to predict. The Sixers-Raptors one was pretty hard, but this one was definitely the hardest. Because I was going back and forth because the Raptors, they have so much, or not the Raptors, the Blazers have so much momentum coming into this, obviously because of Damian Lillard and his heroics at the end of Game 5. But the Nuggets, and also for the Blazers, they're at an advantage because they've had a lot of time to rest, while the Nuggets, they just finished a battle with the Spurs that went 7, while the Blazers just had to go to 5. And so the Blazers they're going to have fresher legs. However, the Nuggets, I think they're a deeper team. They have players at all positions that just know their role and fill their role really well. Paul Millsap was a beast against the Spurs. Whenever I turned on one of those games, he was grabbing a rebound or getting a steal. He was always doing something. I really think I feel like he's kind of overlooked just because he's making so much money, but at the same time, he is a really great player. And obviously the Nuggets have Jokic, who was really good in Game 6, and he's been good the whole, all of the playoffs so far, but he was really good when he decided to step up. Jamal Murray was really good in that series. I just don't really think there's anyone the Blazers have that can guard Jokic, so if he decides, Game 6 in the Spurs series, that he just needs to take over for his team to have a chance, and he just starts going to the post every time, who's really gonna guard him? Enes Kanter is not a good defensive player, and also I believe he was questionable for Game 1, and So he is banged up. So a banged up Enes Kanter is not going to guard Nikola Jokic. And then besides him, there's really no one else that can guard Jokic. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, as great as they are, they're not spectacular on defense. So Jamal Murray could get hot like he did in multiple games against the Spurs. And then there's just tons of wing players for the Nuggets. Like, they just have a surplus of wing players that can just come off the bench and drop like 20. Just like out of nowhere, they just come in and just drop 20 or like 15 and just get the team, like, give the team some momentum. And I do think this will be better than Nuggets Spurs. I think this will be better than all the other, I guess, close series so far in the playoffs. So yeah, with that said, I have the Nuggets in 7 games over the Portland Trailblazers. Alright, and finally, I am just going to recap my round 1 predictions. I'm just going to see how well I did. So I'm going to break this up into 2 categories. I'm going to break it up. First, we're going to see how many of the teams I predicted to win, how many of them actually won. And then we're going to go back and see how many of like the games I got them right. Like if I predicted a team to win in 6, we'll see if they actually did win in 6. The only series I got wrong in terms of the team was the Trailblazers. I picked the Thunder to win. And so I went 7-1 in terms of the teams, like which team I predicted to win. And then in terms of how many games I picked them to win in, I only got 2 correct, so I went 2-6. So hopefully with these round 2 predictions, I can do a little bit better in predicting how many games, and hopefully I can obviously keep up my hot streak with which teams I predict to win. Yeah, so that is going to be it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. I'm going to have hopefully a Bulls franchise video out soon, and then maybe some more NBA content. I know I keep saying more NBA content, and then I only bring these predictions, but I'm thinking of different ideas. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this one, and I'm out.